At this hour, I'm Christina, Aguayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories.
Beau French, the chairman of the GOP in Tarrant County, Texas, is reporting that people who selected Donald Trump on the screen when voting were seeing their vote go to Kamala Harris on the printed ballot.
I voted for one president, checked it on the video screen. When I got the paper ballot, it had the other candidate's name on it. Check your paper ballots, everybody.
After receiving the information, French said he immediately reported it to the election judge and said that in at least one case, the voter was issued a new ballot to vote again. The voters and French are urging everyone who's voting to check their printed ballots before submitting them. Reports are also coming in of the same things happening in Tennessee and Georgia. The legal battle over clearing non-citizens off the voter rolls in Virginia continues as the Biden-Harris DOJ is pushing ahead with their lawsuit. And according to Republican Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears, the state isn't backing down either. Sears is saying, especially because it all started with a person identifying as a non-citizen, then registering to vote. Governor Glenn Youngkin is giving people 14 days to prove they are a citizen, and they can still show up to vote on the day of the election, but they have to prove they are eligible to vote. The twist in the story is that the voter roll law was originally signed by a Democrat governor back in 2006, but is now being challenged as unfair by a Democrat administration, prompting Sears to say it's clearly all political. What's being called a deceptive initiative that would essentially give lawmakers the power to allow non-citizens to vote is on the ballot in New York. According to the New York Post editorial board, Proposition 1, named the Equal Rights Amendment, is being disguised as an abortion measure. However, the state GOP says the amendment goes much further than abortion, with constitutional lawyer Bobby Ann Cox warning that the proposition is a, quote, Trojan horse of epic proportions. The newspaper's board agrees, saying the amendment would ban, quote, unequal treatment for a long list of categories, including sexual orientation, gender identity, and national origin, and would also allow unequal treatment as long as it's in the name of countering past unfairness, meaning that the 2021 law allowing 800,000 non-citizens with green cards to vote wouldn't have been able to be blocked by the courts because Proposition 1 would prohibit discrimination on the basis of national origin. The editorial board and lawmakers in the state are now calling for people to read the exact language of the proposition and understand what it means before making a decision. President Donald Trump took the lead over Kamala Harris for the first time in the Decision Desk HQ election forecast. According to the model, Trump has a 52% chance of winning the presidency, while Harris sits at 48%. Harris was as high as 56% since August. However, things started to shift in October, bringing her down to 50% and now 48%. Trump officially took the lead at the same time his polling improved in Wisconsin and Michigan, two battleground states that previously leaned slightly toward Harris. 6 of the 7 swing states all favor Trump. The only one that still leans for Harris is Pennsylvania. A migrant who assaulted a U.S. Border Patrol agent in Arizona will be spending the next year behind bars. 32-year-old Manuel Duarte Ibarra of Mexico pleaded guilty to 1 count of assault on a federal officer. The assault happened back in February when the agent tried to handcuff Ibarra, who pulled away and kicked the agent in the chest multiple times, according to Arizona's attorney's office. Ibarra told agents he helped smuggle illegal migrants into the country and that he was high on meth during the assault. The United States Supreme Court has decided not to hear a case by Michael Cohen, who's trying to revive a lawsuit in which Cohen is claiming Trump and several former federal officials put him back in prison in 2020 because he wrote a book about Trump. The suit, which was looking for monetary damages, was originally dismissed by a lower court. He pleaded guilty to several federal felonies and was sentenced to 3 years behind bars back in 2018. He was briefly released in 2020 because of COVID, but was put back in prison a couple of months later. A judge ruled it was retaliatory, then the case was dismissed. The dismissal was upheld on appeal, prompting Cohen to go to the Supreme Court. More than 1 million voters have cast their ballots in the battleground state of North Carolina, and the state GOP is seeing a record turnout in the areas of the state ripped by Hurricane Helene during the early voting period. After 4 days of in-person voting, 1,008,123 ballots had been cast, according to the North Carolina State Board of Elections. President Donald Trump making multiple stops in storm-battered areas in the state on Monday, including in Asheville, which was the hardest hit by Helene.
We're praying for you, and we will not forget about you. We will never forget about you. We're going to be working with you for a long time to come to get it back together. When I'm president, I will stand with you until the communities are fully rebuilt. Every single inch of every property will be fully rebuilt. greater and more beautiful than it was before.
He then made his way to Greenville, where he spoke to thousands who showed up for his rally.
That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, Christina, Aguayo, Salem News Channel.